The Berlin Crisis in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1963, the Vietnam War, which lasted from 1950s to 1970s. The 60s were uncertain times when both sides, NATO and the Warsaw Pact, were constantly looking out for when the other one struck first. The Soviet Union needed a better alert system. That's why a reliable detection system against missile attacks was so important. That's how Duga was born. Hello guys, let's continue the Chernobyl exclusion zone subject. Recently we've posted a few videos emphasizing the connection between Chernobylite and the real Chernobyl and Pripyat, and multiple other close locations. In one of those two previous episodes on our channel, we have covered Duga Radar a bit. Today, you will hear more about the history of the real place, and less about Chernobylite, but I hope you will still remember to play our game. Tomorrow we will publish the update on all consoles, July 22nd. Write it down in your calendar and download the update to play the full experience with all seasons and free content ready. Chernobylite Complete Edition is almost here. But as for our today's subject, the Duga Radar, let's start. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, Part 5. The Eye of Moscow, Duga Radar. The Duga Radar, often referred to by its ominous nickname the Russian Woodpecker, remains one of the most enigmatic structures of the Cold War era. Situated within the shadow of Chernobyl nuclear power plant, Duga was part of the Soviet Union's missile defense early warning network. Its main operational period from July 1976 to December 1989 was marked by tension and mystery, as it played a crucial role in the USSR's strategic military capabilities. The Soviet Union built Duga Radar as part of the network that was aimed at detecting missile launches, particularly from the United States, during the Cold War. This over-the-horizon radar system was crucial for providing advance notice of potential nuclear attacks, thereby enhancing the USSR's ability to respond strategically and potentially engage in countermeasures. The early warning was an essential component of the Soviet military's defense strategy, especially at the time when tensions between the superpowers were high and the threat of nuclear war loomed large. The Eye of Moscow background. The inception of the Duga Radar dates back to the late 1960s, a period characterized by intense technological competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. The need for an advanced early warning radar system became apparent as both superpowers continually enhanced their nuclear arsenals. Remember that after the Second World War, these two nations were often on the brink of starting another one, this time a nuclear war. Despite many diplomatic efforts, both the US and the USSR wanted to be the only leader of the world. So there were multiple tense moments that in some cases turned into days, weeks, and even months. In the 1950s, the USSR created the Warsaw Pact as an opposition to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. The Korean War and the Hungarian Revolution were also important moments for both sides of the Cold War. Then, in the 1960s, there happened some of the most well-known events of this era. The Berlin Crisis of 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1963, and the deepening of the Vietnam War, which lasted until 1975. During these uncertain times, when both sides, NATO and the Warsaw Pact, were constantly looking out for when the other one struck first, the Soviet Union was also seeking to secure itself more. That's why a reliable detection system against missile attacks was so crucial to Moscow. The USSR embarked on the development of over-the-horizon radar technology, which could detect objects beyond the curvature of Earth by bouncing radio waves of the ionosphere. The construction of the Duga Radar in Chernobyl began in the early 70s. But it was not the first installation that bore this name. The first 2 Dugas were created in Mykolaiv, also in Ukraine. But even this Duga, the famous radar near Chernobyl, was only a part of the whole system. About 60 kilometers from this one, there was another installation in the close city of Lyubek. While the Chernobyl Duga had 2 receivers, the Lyubek had 2 transmitters. Both of them were 2 halves of the same apple, I might say a bit poetically. And both those places required the construction of whole closed cities. The installation in Chernobyl needed 1,000 personnel to operate it. But why near Chernobyl? The chosen site near Chernobyl offered geographical advantages for signal propagation and was remote enough to maintain secrecy and security. The engineering feat required to erect the Duga was monumental. The main array, known as Duga 1, featured a massive steel framework towering approximately 150 meters high and stretching over 700 meters long. The installation was composed of 2 parts, the transmitter and receiver sections. Remember the Lyubek I just told you about? The choice of locating Duga near Chernobyl was strategic for several reasons. For starters, it granted a geographical advantage. The northern part of the Ukrainian SSR provided a significant advantage for an over-the-horizon radar. The flat terrain and the presence of a relatively stable ionospheric propagation path toward the main potential adversary, the United States, made it an ideal location for effectively bouncing radar signals off the ionosphere, allowing it to detect objects at extremely long distances. The other reason was the remoteness and fewer security challenges. The area around Chernobyl was relatively remote and less populated, which was beneficial for security and secrecy. This remoteness helped in maintaining the confidentiality of the technology and operations from foreign intelligence services. Furthermore, the isolation reduced the risk of electromagnetic interference from populated areas, which could affect the sensitivity and functionality of the radar. We also can't forget about the important factor: the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Proximity to this power source was extremely needed, as the whole USSR had to deal with power shortages. They couldn't let it happen to such an important radar system. Duga required a substantial amount of power to operate. Its transmissions were extremely energy-intensive. Being close to a major power plant ensured that it could receive a steady and sufficient power supply to sustain its operations without placing additional strain on the civilian electrical grid. Last, but not least, the place offered a new and fairly good infrastructure and logistic possibilities. The existing infrastructure around the power plant area could support the large-scale and high-security nature of the Duga installation. Additionally, the logistics of constructing and maintaining such a massive installation were feasible in this location, with access to necessary materials and labor. So, as you see, the construction of Duga in that particular place was a calculated decision that balanced strategic military needs with practical considerations of power, geography, and security. Technical aspects of Duga. The Duga radar operated by emitting a distinctive repetitive tapping noise, which could be heard across the globe on shortwave radio frequencies. The signal, capable of disrupting commercial and military communications, led to its nickname, the Russian Woodpecker. Just listen to it. The technology behind the Duga was both innovative and problematic. It used a complex system of pulse compression and frequency hopping to achieve high sensitivity and range. This system utilized a complex method of bouncing radio waves off the ionosphere, allowing it to detect intercontinental ballistic missiles from thousands of kilometers away. Its construction allowed for a high gain and the possibility of beam steering, essential for tracking objects across a wide area. The radar was known for its extremely powerful signals, estimated to be over 10 megawatts in equivalent isotropically radiated power. The frequency of these signals could be adjusted to maximize the return signal from the ionosphere, depending on atmospheric conditions. But at the same time, it was susceptible to changes in ionospheric conditions, which could affect its reliability and accuracy. To have the ability to detect objects at very long distances, overcoming the curvature of the Earth, it needed extremely huge amounts of energy. On top of that, the powerful emissions caused widespread interference, affecting everything from radio broadcast to airline communications, leading to numerous complaints internationally. And no less conspiracy theories and other speculations. You know, aliens and stuff. The interference became a well-known phenomenon, leading to a sort of grudging fascination among not only local or regional, but the global amateur radio community. Enthusiasts, military agencies, and communications professionals globally worked to track and mitigate the disruptive effects of Duga signals. Efforts to jam or block the signal were largely unsuccessful due to its power and the broad frequency range it covered. Yet, the need to feel more secure was crucial to the USSR leaders, so they didn't want to hear anything. As for the USSR citizens, you know this old joke. Asked how they are functioning in the Soviet Republic, they say they can't complain. When did it start working? The first pioneer installations were tested in the 1960s, but the Duga Radar near Chernobyl began operation in 1976 and was active until 1989, spanning a critical period during the Cold War. During its operational life, Duga was one of the most advanced radar systems in the world. Its ability to provide early warning of missile launches was a strategic advantage, potentially offering the Soviet military precious minutes to respond to a threat. Its life came to an end as the Cold War wound down and newer technologies became available. The system was officially shut down in December 1989, not long before the USSR collapsed, following the general reduction in military tensions and the improvement of satellite-based early warning systems, which offered more reliable and less intrusive monitoring capabilities. The legacy. The radar system was one of the most powerful and ambitious of its time, involving a large array of equipment and requiring significant manpower to operate. During the peak of its time, Duga was more than just an installation. Of course, the massive radar array was a key point, but the site also included a small support town, military facilities, and even a children's summer camp. Its decommissioning in the late 1989 left behind a massive, now abandoned structure that has since drawn the interests of historians, scientists and tourists. The area around the Duga Radar, deeply affected by the Chernobyl disaster in 1986, has become a haunting symbol of the era's intersection of military ambition and catastrophic risk. To this day, researchers continue to study its impacts on the environment and the long-term effects of its radio emissions, while cultural references in films, games, and literature reflect its intriguing historical role. Today, Duga is an important part of the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, this place is closed to all visitors. But just a few years back, there were many tours which stopped at the bottom of this huge radar. We even got to climb to the top of it. Duga, with its impressive architecture and eerie presence, still stands as a relic of a bygone era, encapsulating the fears and technological aspirations of the Cold War. Thanks for watching. Please share it with your friends if you enjoyed it. Comment and hit the like button to help us even more. Remember that in just one day, there will be an important update coming to consoles. All players will receive the complete edition version, which marks the final milestone for our beloved Chernobylite. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's it for today, guys. Take care, stay safe, and see you next week.